Hey, welcome! In this video, I'm going to be showing you how to stay consistent with your positive habits. This is a super important personal development topic to understand because as human beings, we really are the product of what we do on a habitual basis. So regardless of how hard you try to succeed, you are only going to you're going to fall down to the level of your habits. All right, so learning how to build consistent positive habits in your life really allows you to take advantage of this compounding effect, where if you go to the gym one time, that's really not going to make a huge difference in your physique. But if you go to the gym consistently 5 days a week for months, then you're going to look like a freaking bodybuilder. And this is true with your meditation, your reading. If you read one book, you're really not going to gain much wisdom. But if you read consistently every single day for months and years, that will eventually stack up into 40 books, 100 books, 200 books. If you read 200 nonfiction books, you're really going to start to develop serious understanding of reality as long as you're reading the right books. So this is something that I seriously struggled with a lot in my life. I honestly think I'm one of the least consistent people on the entire planet, and I'm sure there's some of you guys out there could beat me, but I've yet to meet someone who has less ability to stay consistent with their habits than me. I really struggled through this process of installing good habits into my life. For 6 or 7 years, I really was totally lost about how to actually stay consistent. Because what I would do is I would study personal development. I would get all excited to learn meditation or to implement a reading habit or an eating healthy habit or a gym habit. And I would stay consistent for a week. But then eventually I'd lose interest. I have shiny object syndrome where I just always am chasing after the next cool thing. And then I forget about the original reason why I started the habit, and this caused me to be very inconsistent. And what would happen is I would go through these cycles of ups and downs where half the time I felt like I was on my shit and I was making progress, but then the other half of the time I felt like I was down in the dumps, completely have no habits at all, just playing video games and smoking weed all day. And this was a very frustrating cycle to go through over and over and over again for years. And I'm going to show you how I was finally able to solve that. So the first tip to actually stay consistent with your habits, this is a tip that I don't really hear spoken about that frequently. And it really took me years to learn how important number one is. Tip number one is to realize that your habit is not a big deal. It's not a big deal whether or not you stick to your habit or not. Because what I've done before, when I first began personal development when I was 16 years old, I was so excited to become an enlightened master, to meditate every single day, to read all these thick, difficult books, to go to the gym and develop my superhero body. And these habits were so important to me. It was such a huge deal for me. And what I didn't realize is when I make the habit a big deal, that always creates resistance. When you make something super, super important, that makes that thing farther and farther out of reach. It's like when you put something up on a pedestal, right? If the cup's just in my hand, it's not that hard to reach it. But if I make it so important, I raise it all the way up, so it's all the way up here on this big important pedestal. Now I can't actually reach the cup because I've placed it too high. So the same is true with your habits. Make it totally not a big deal at all in your mind. Like, yeah, I'm gonna meditate, whatever. It's not a huge deal. I meditate every day. It's not really a life-changing thing. It's just business as usual for me. It's like brushing your teeth. Do you really make it a massive deal every single time you brush your teeth? Or is it just a habit that you do? Yeah, twice a day, brush my teeth, not a big deal. Well, I hope for you guys that it's not a big deal to brush your teeth twice a day, but the same needs to be true for going to the gym, for example. It just becomes a hygiene standard where it's like, yeah, I go to the gym every morning or 5 days a week, and that's not really a big deal. I actually have to go to the gym in the same way where I have to brush my teeth, or else my mouth will feel dirty if I don't brush my teeth. I start to have bad breath. That feels disgusting. So the same is true with going to the gym. I just go every day because I have to, because I feel good when I go. I actually like going. So it's not really a big deal. I'm just going to do something that I like. Now you might say, well, Adam, of course you like going to the gym because, I don't know, you're some special person, but I don't like going to the gym. It's hard, I sweat, it's way more difficult to go to the gym than it is to sit at home and eat chocolate cake. So nice try, Adam. Well, we're going to get into that as we move on to the other tips. But first of all, just realize it's really not a huge deal to do your habit. And that leads into tip number 2, which is to use the 2-minute rule. See, number 2 is the 2-minute rule. I thought that was clever. Okay, so the 2-minute rule is something I got from James Clear's book, Atomic Habits, which I highly recommend you read if you're struggling with implementing healthy habits in your life and you have this cycle of ups and downs and you can't stay consistent. The 2-minute rule has really revolutionized my ability to stay consistent with my habits. First of all, realizing that my habit's not a big deal. It's just like, okay, whatever, I'm going to meditate. Not a big deal. I'm going to go to the gym. Okay, whatever. So there's no resistance there. It becomes something natural, something effortless that's actually part of who I am. And many people might be sitting watching and say, Adam, I wish meditating was something that's naturally part of who I am. I wish going to the gym was naturally part of who I am, but it's not for me. Maybe it is for you, but not for me. See, what you don't realize is that I'm not a special person. I'm a human being too. My shit still smells as well. I don't have any special ability to stay consistent with my habits. In fact, I'm probably a lot worse off than most people when it comes to staying consistent with my habits because of this hyperactive shiny object syndrome that I have been struggling with. So the 2-minute rule is just telling yourself, okay, what I was actually going to say before is about the self-image. So it's really not a huge deal. When you make it not a huge deal, really what you're doing is you're changing your self-image to become someone who meditates every day. It's effortless, it's easy, it's just part of who I am. Like Arnold Schwarzenegger, I saw a video of him. Someone asked him, Arnold, you're like 68 years old. Why do you still work out? And he says, well, I just can't stop working out. I'm going to keep going to the gym until the day that I die. Because it's part of who he is as a person. So when you make this habit not a huge deal, you allow it to actually become part of your everyday routine. And it's something as effortless as brushing your teeth. And in order to implement the habit initially, you want to use the 2-minute rule, which is magical. So for the longest time, I really struggled with getting myself to meditate. Sure, I was able to do it maybe 3 days a week, 4 days a week, but for a good few years, I really struggled with just staying consistent every single day. Nowadays, I meditate multiple times per day, and it's really very effortless and natural for me to do. I haven't missed a day and I can't remember the last time I missed a day. So what helped me to really get the habit installed was telling myself that all I need to do is just meditate for 2 minutes. I don't need to meditate for 45 minutes, because now when we tell ourselves I have to go to the gym for 2 hours, I have to meditate for an hour. See, now you've created resistance in your mind. You've made it so important. You've made it so difficult. What the 2-minute rule does is helps to remove that difficulty. When you just tell yourself, hey, I'm going to sit on the meditation cushion for 2 minutes, and then after 2 minutes, I can just get up and go do whatever else I want to do. And then I can feel good. Okay, I meditated for 2 minutes. Awesome. And if you can meditate for 2 minutes consistently, preferably maybe at the same time, at the same place, every single day, for just 2 minutes, then that's going to do is that's going to install the habit into your life. Now that you're meditating for 2 minutes every single day, how much easier is it going to be to meditate for 3 minutes? You're already doing 2 minutes a day. You're already sitting there. Why not just sit another extra minute? Because James Clear says in his book, it's harder to start doing something than it is to continue doing something. I noticed this when I make these chocolate fudge vegan brownies that I have to put in the freezer, and they're super healthy, but they're just really tasty. And I remember I was reading Atomic Habits, and he said it's easier to start doing something than it is, it's harder to start doing something than it is to continue doing something. So I remember I took the brownies out, and I took one bite of the brownies, and then I realized, okay, well, I already took one bite, so that was really tasty, so I might as well take another bite. And okay, I finished one piece, might as well have another piece. Right? So then next thing I knew, I finished like 5 pieces, and I realized, oh, there's this kind of momentum that happens when you start a habit. It's a lot easier to continue doing it than it is to start doing it in the first place. Same is true with bad habits, like playing video games. It takes more effort to actually turn the game console on than it does to just continue playing after you've already been playing for an hour. So the 2-minute rule was amazing for going to the gym. You can just, if you are struggling showing up to the gym every single day, all you have to do is tell yourself, hey, I'm going to go to the gym 5 days a week, but I'm only going to do 1 set. So you show up to the gym, you scan your card, you walk in feeling all good about yourself, you go right to the bench press, do 1 set of bench press, and then say, okay, I'm done, and then you leave. Now, people might say, Adam, what's the point of that? And I'm just kind of lying to myself. I'm just cheating myself. I'm not really working out. All I did was 1 set. But you're underestimating the power of just showing up. Just showing up there is really the secret key that helps to install the habit and make it an effortless part of who you are. Now that you've been going to the gym 5 days a week, only doing 1 set, but you've been going 5 days a week. Now that you're at the gym to do your 1 set, okay, well, I'm already here. Let's do 1 more set. Okay, I'm already here. I'll do a 3rd set, right? And the key is to quit while you're ahead. So that brings us into number 3. Quit while you're ahead. So you don't want to overdo it, where you might say, okay, well, I'm already at the gym. I might as well stay there for 2 hours and completely pulverize my muscles so that I'm super sore and in pain the next day. That might be an issue if you're just starting to get the habit going. I recommend keeping it simple and easy in the beginning. So when you're first starting a gym habit, only go for 20 minutes. You don't have to go for an hour till you're sore and you're crying and your girlfriend has to give you a back massage because you're in so much pain. Really, you just have to keep it simple because you don't want to associate the habit in your mind with pain. Because now every time, if you go to the gym and you do it for 2 hours and you're in pain for the next 3 days, now whenever you think about going to the gym, you're going to think about pain. So instead, what you want to do is associate that habit with pleasure. So when I go to the gym, I'm excited to go because I get that endorphin rush. I feel good, right? I do that set of bench press and I feel my mind starts to get this rush where the endorphins start to run and I just feel like that adrenaline pump. And that feels awesome. I like that. And I notice myself, if I'm 30, 45 minutes into a workout and I feel like I'm done, like I just really don't want to be there anymore, I don't push it. I just, okay, I'm done. I'll go home. I'll come back tomorrow. It's not a big deal. What I used to do in the past is I would say, well, I'm feeling like I want to go home, but I'm so strong and macho that I'm going to push myself to stay an extra 30 minutes, even though I don't want to be there. I push myself to stay, and then I would overdo it because really I'm not listening to my body. My body's telling me, hey, Adam, today you did 30, 40 minutes. Good job. Just go home. Come back the next day. It's not a big deal. You showed up. Good job. Instead, I'm not listening to my body and I'm overdoing it. I'm overworking myself. Now, the next time, I'm not even going to want to go. All right? So use the 2-minute rule. Make that barrier to entry so easy, so effortless. I'm just gonna sit to meditate for 2 minutes. I'm just gonna go to the gym for 1 set and quit while you're ahead. Right when it starts to get overly painful, where you're like, hey, I'm fucking done, just quit. Okay? Now, this really moves us into the last point, which is very, very important. This is about the middle way. So, the middle way is an idea from Buddha. Buddha was trying so hard to escape suffering. He realized that life is suffering and he just wanted to find a way out. And what he did was, in the beginning, Buddha found this ascetic Hindu practice where he would live in a cave in the wilderness and he would only eat 1 grain of rice per day and he would sleep on a bed of nails. This was the ascetic practice where you renounce all pleasure. And the Buddha would sit, he would never shower, he would be covered in bugs and dirt and grime. And he found that when he was this strict, it didn't really contribute to his mental clarity. That path didn't work. And when he was younger, before he renounced the world, he was a prince who lived a very opulent life where everything was so easy and effortless for him. He had beautiful maids carry him, bring him food. He could have sex with them whenever he wanted. Everything, his whole life was easy and effortless because he was a prince. So he found that path didn't really work. But he also found that renouncing everything and being a total hard ass didn't work either. So the way the Buddha discovered the middle way was he was sitting by a tree and he was covered in bugs and dirt and his ass was hurting him because he's been sleeping on a bed of nails. And there was a little boat that went by the river. And on the boat there was a man and his son. They were fishing and his son was playing the guitar. It wasn't a guitar, it was a lute, which is this old instrument. And the son was trying to tune the instrument and his father said, hey, don't tune it too tight or else the string will snap. But also don't tune it too loose because then it won't play. And then the Buddha overheard that, and it was in that moment that he suddenly realized the middle way. Not too tight, not too loose. The string needs to be tuned just right so that it plays. And there is this man that I met on my first Buddhist retreat. He would always remind me, this old enlightened monk, he would always remind me, remember, Adam, not too tight, not too loose, middle way. So what does that mean? What that means is you need to actually be in touch with your intuition, because the middle way is not something that is a routine. It's not something that's contrived. The middle way is something that's flowing and natural. See, normally we might think that the middle way is like, this is asceticism over here, and then this is pleasure over here, and then we think the middle way is just going perfectly right in the middle. And we just have to stay right in the middle all the time. But that's not the true middle way. The true middle way is something that is organic and it moves with the flow of the moment. So sometimes you might need to move a little bit more towards asceticism. Sometimes you might need to move a little bit more towards hedonism. But the point is that the middle way is not just a linear, fixed, rigid routine, but it's something that's organic and is evolving with the flow of the moment. So practically, you need to actually be in touch with your body and listen. What is your intuition telling you to do? In the past, I would force myself to wake up at 5 a.m. every single morning. And I would be so tired that eventually I would burn out and I would crash. Or I was so sleep deprived that I couldn't make level-headed decisions throughout the day. And then I would just fall into old habits. But what I found, the middle way for me, is to actually let myself have a lot of sleep. Right? Where I still go to bed early, still go to bed before 10 p.m., but I sleep all the way till 8 a.m. So that's like almost 10 hours of sleep that I give myself. Because for me personally, that's the middle way. Where, okay, I'm not sleeping until 4 p.m., which I've done in the past and it doesn't feel right, but I'm still waking up before 8 in the morning, but I've slept like 10 hours. So I kind of get the best of both worlds, where I get to wake up relatively early, but also get a lot of sleep. So for me, that's the middle way, and that came from actually intuitively listening to my body. It's the same with when I'm at the gym and I feel like, okay, it's time to leave. I've pushed myself and it's time to leave. Okay, let's go home. And you might find other times in your life, you actually want to push yourself. Sometimes before I go to the gym, I'm excited to lift some really heavy weights. I'm excited to push myself. Sometimes I'm excited to meditate for an hour. See, in that time, your intuition is telling you it's a good time to push yourself. But then at other times, you're like, damn, I just need to rest. I just need to calm down. I don't need to push myself anymore. That's a good time. Ease off the gas pedal and relax. See, this is the big problem with hustle culture, because hustle culture has this attitude where it's just like foot on the gas all the time. Always foot on the gas. But when you actually drive, you realize you use the gas and the brakes relatively evenly. You need to learn when to slow down, when to rest, and you need to learn when to speed up, right? This is the middle way. You need to balance work and rest. If you look at the entire structure of all of existence, if you look at non-duality, the yin and the yang, the rising and the falling, the masculine and the feminine, the working and the resting, the up and the down, the left and the right, there's this natural duality that kind of oscillates and moves throughout life. And you need to actually be intuitively connected to when is it time to rest and when is it time to work. You can't just work your ass off unconsciously all the time. That is not going to work. But at the same time, you can't just be a lazy bum and say, oh, I'm a spiritual master because I do nothing all day. No, you need to work as well. But you need to come to your own understanding of how to actually balance the two. And that really comes from raising your consciousness. So if you're interested in raising your consciousness, I actually have a free training that you can click the first link in the description that teaches you how to do Vipassana meditation, which was what that old master who told me about the middle way, not too tight, not too loose. He taught me Vipassana meditation, and I made a free training for you guys. So you can click the first link in the description to learn how to do that. It's one of the most powerful meditation techniques that exists. And otherwise, that's all I had to say here today. I hope this video helped you out, and I'll see you in the next video.